Good morning, folks. We're going to do some artwork. Give me a second here to check in on my signal, make sure that I'm coming through clearly, and do the social media updates real quick. If you're catching this in the future, you can skip ahead a minute, and I'll see you on the other side. But for those that are stuck here in time space with me here now, yeah, okay, that volume sounds good. Well, hey, my name is Philip Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them and I publish them online, and we're creating content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. We're making an adventure here. It's called Crystals of Mabar. It's for characters levels 7 and 8 playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition 2024 rules. We're fighting undead demons and necromancers in the Carnwood of Carnath on the continent of Corvair in the world of Eberron. And looks like I've got my social media posts done, so let's go ahead and fix our screen and get to work. There, and you think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. Here's a bunch of books I've already created that are on the DMsGuild where we publish our work. They all have free previews, and so you can check out all my artwork and ideas that are listed in the books. There, that's all straight. Let's go. Let's get this book cover out of the way. We're working on this interior art. This is a 16:9 format. So it fits on your devices horizontally like Yah, and each column is also 9:16 so that they fit horizontally. We're building this interior illustration right now. So let's finish this up. It's getting close to done. So I'm actually really not happy with the head's too big, so I need to fix the head. Let's see, how am I gonna do that? Let's see, there and there. The tongue is separate, thank God, and that lighting is separate in there. I'm going to merge down these layers. Merge down, because that head is just too big. My head is too big. Let's see if I need to cleave off that skull. And we'll need to reduce the size. Get rid of that. Trim this in. There, we'll bring this down. Down. I like this song. That'll work. It still feels big. That should work better. Now let's take this here, bring that in. Oh yeah, that looks a lot better. Hey Fernando, how you doing? I'm a little late to start today. I was up super late last night getting maps and stuff done. So I ended up waking up later than I wanted to, but back in the saddle, y'all. Let's fill this in here. Oh yeah, that immediately feels better. Let's bring this down here. We should be finishing this piece today, even though we only have an hour today. We should be finishing this off. There we go. Let's do like this. Hey, we were having a conversation about adventuring or about framing a campaign, and I think you were. Yeah, we were having a conversation about different stuff. I'm not sure where we're at in that conversation at this point. There, back there. I can merge this down with that. So let's merge these down. There. That puts us there. Cool. Okay. We're in a good space now.
Yes, I managed to get involved into a character that I didn't give a F.
Hey, congratulations! Excellent. How'd that go? I love success stories. Let's merge that down. Higher intensity on the eraser or on the smudge tool there. I think that'll end up helping us out. Yeah, let's bring that in here like that.
I just have a plan. She will have to save her brother from the same curse and nothing.
Right on. Cool. Easy enough. I think I have some thoughts. Hold on, let me see what loads. Timely timer. We have we have a little less than an hour. Trim that up a little bit. Nice, I like that. Yeah, we got to get that there. I hate doing this repair work. It's so close to done, but the repair work takes time. And it's always futzing with the anatomy. Let's bring that clavicle around here. We get this deltoid wrapping around.
The problem now is the last player, the one that told me that they are just together because they are just friends playing D&D.
Ah, yeah, that's right. They're gonna have to find their joy.
She was a similar godlike emperor 1,000 years ago. Now I need for her to change sides and fight the emperor.
Well, you've already converted. You've already had one successful conversion, so I'm sure that you're going to be able to find your way through on this one as well, right? That in there, and then yeah, there we are. We can merge this layer down. And I feel like I want to bring in this jaw a little bit. Let's get rid of that. And let's bring this back in here. There we go. Now we're starting to find our groove. Yeah, so for a 20 level campaign,
Have you had issues like that with passes DM or player?
no, honestly, I haven't. But the reason why is because I don't care about character backstories at all. That is a play in my mind as a DM. That is a player problem, not a DM's problem. If I do procedurally generated worlds, I like using random tables. I like to the way I run my campaigns is that there's a mystery or there's some sort of like worldwide problem or something going on that the characters need to find a resolution for. Very much like old school D&D, we present a problem, and the characters decide how they want to find a solution to that. And so they're generally, like I said, when I build a campaign, I guarantee player buy-in because I will have them be involved in some sort of an organization or all be part of the same faith in a religion, or have fealty to the same lord that sends them on quests, so they're involved by default. And the way that I like to run campaigns is that the events that are going on in the campaign would happen regardless of what characters you chose to play. But the player's challenge then is don't come with a big backstory. Have like at most a couple lines, or preferably a one-line statement that kind of summarizes who you are and why you're involved in this organization or this church, or have fealty to this lord or whatever. And add that small amount of detail so that I have a point of reference for your involvement. And then as the story progresses and they figure more things out, if they want to deepen their characters and their character's story, then take what events are happening in the campaign and retcon in how what's happening is relevant to your character's story. So instead of me building the campaign around the backstory that the players like, I have the campaign run regardless of who their character is, and have them, if they want to, figure out how their character's background fits in with the stuff that the players decide to do, or the challenges that I confront them with. So I make it a them issue. I don't do like for example, in the current campaign that I'm running, the team is that the players are in charge of an asteroid belt mining operation in orbit around Eberron. And this campaign's been going on for about 2 years now. And so their goal is the characters that they play are fixers. They either are defending the territory of their asteroid mines from poachers, monsters, pirates, and anomalies, or they're delving into asteroids to clear aberrations and creatures out of the depths of the asteroid that they've cracked open. And Kyber starts bleeding out like pus, so they have to kill off the evil that's pouring out, so that's safe for the miners to go in and fix it. And they occasionally do like stealth missions into neighboring nation asteroid regions to poach for themselves, or whatever it is that they need to do. The current adventure will change from every maybe 3 or 4 sessions they'll finish one of these asteroid belt little mini adventures, and then from there they continue to evolve. The threats continue to evolve. If they go and they fight, if they go and steal from Droam's now going to try to steal from them, and that problem escalates. The elves needed help against Dargoon, and they decided not to help. So now the elves aren't as willing to help the characters if they have border conflicts than they would have been if they had just blindly backed the elves the way that they wanted. So the actions that they have are consequences, but if one of the players decides that they don't like elves, that's why they don't want to get involved, and that's your narrative that you're building for your character to explain why the players make the decisions that they make. And as they further form opinions around what they think their players and characters want to do, that their characters want to do, it changes the decisions that the players make. So if they don't have any, we agree on the theme of the campaign, and then we come in raw, so that they can decide to form their own opinions about what's going on and then develop them from there. But they start off as I'm just a guild man. I'm just a worker in this machinery, and as all these things evolve, we start forming opinions about how we want to operate. And most of the time, the players and their opinions about what happened obviously is what's going to drive the decisions that they make for their characters. And they can have personalities and backstories and stuff like that if they want to, but I don't guarantee they're going to be relevant. They have to find relevance for the backstory that they choose for their characters to match with, because it's not going to change what's actually happening in the story. I invest very, very little energy into backstories because I keep the plot moving of like the larger problems at hand, what's going on.
If that does that make any sense? I like your idea that you manage a large table by splitting it up into smaller sections. My main issue is that the 3 players enjoy different things, but I want to give to the 3 of them what they want at the same time.
Yeah, that's tricky. What I would recommend about that is doing rotation. If you have 5 players at your table and you decide to do custom individual content, make sure that you're breaking up that content amongst all of them, so that you don't accidentally create the favored one. I've done that in campaigns before, where one person will start to develop a backstory that's really cool, and I start jiving on it, and then I start building more and more ideas around that particular character. It makes the other players feel secondary, because they haven't taken the initiative to develop their story, their character's story arc as much as the one person that's getting all the attention. So it creates this main character syndrome. And that is what I found destructive, because then the character died, and now all that stuff that I spent time building around, I have to either give them plot armor or throw all that concept away. I had to do that after doing that like maybe 4 or 5 times in a campaign over the past 40 years. I got to the point where if I invest my energy as a DM into building story around your imagined player narrative, then when your character dies, it blows a hole in the middle of my plot. So that means I have to either pull my punches and make sure you stay around so my story gets executed, or develop stories that are flexible enough that even though a character might change, or hell, even the player might change, the story will continue forward. That was always of paramount importance. Because I would have, like, especially when I was younger, I'd have people show up and then bail, and I couldn't control their engagement. I need a darker dark for this recess here. Like that. Let's fill that in. Maybe with that color there. No. There. That'll do. That'll do. Okay, cool. We're finding our groove here. But yeah, breaking up the campaign into different seasons of a TV show is a really manageable way. If you readdress, like if you every 4 levels that the characters gain, or like at level, well, you start at level 3, so you might be able to maintain the same chapter to, like, say, like if you went to like level, since you started, like I would start at level 1 and then go to level 4, and that'd be a chapter or a season, and then 5 to 8, 9 to 12, 13 to 16, 17 to 20. That way, whoever your big bad is at the time is a ladder that leads up to higher rank big bads. The guy that you knock down becomes lieutenant of your next foe, or as you defeat the current big bad, upon looting them, you discover that they're part of a larger organization that has other people that could potentially come and look for finding out what was going on with him. So now you've created potential hostility towards you for defeating that guy. It creates the power vacuum, right? The idea of a power vacuum of whenever the apex creature in a region is killed, other apex creatures will come and fill in the void to hunt that territory. Similarly with religion, if there was a church in a community and the church falls out of faith for some reason, then another church, or maybe a different church, will come and fill the gap, and the culture will change in the community. Let me grab this and highlight along here. So the same thing is true with big bads. Big bads have power, and when they fall, they leave a power vacuum. And for players, for relevance for the players, for the community, it means that something new is going to come in and the culture will shift, or the threat will shift because a new monster moves into the area. Like you kill the dragon, and now, like an adult dragon was in charge of the reason they have fallen. Now instead, since they're gone, a pack of chimera move in because their XP value is equal to the dragon that died. So they are an effective equivalent apex predator to take over the territory. Now we're dealing with chimera, which are smaller and more active. So even though the dragon would come through once every 5-10 years looking for sacrifices and tributes, the chimera never sleep, never rest, are always hungry, and are more don't cultivate fear. They just cash in immediately. They're parasitic. They slash and burn a region. So when the dragon goes, the chimera come in, and now they start plaguing people more, and it becomes a more aggressive threat. So you can ratchet up the XP a little bit because your characters have gained levels since fighting the dragon. Now they have to deal with a flock of chimera, for instance. Same with big bads. So as you kill the corrupt cardinal and foil his undead plan, well, that cardinal was actually getting his power from a demon or a different god, or was like a vestige of a great old one. And now that you've felled their prophet, as it were, now they start sending aberrations after you to punish you as heretics, for example. So you're building these. So now you've got this cult is on the radar because this priest that you felled was part of this larger cult. So now you have to deal with this cult issue. So now you have multiple priests that are coming after you. There was just that one in the region, but since somebody dropped the cultist, now the rest of them are coming to protect their territory from whoever it is that's messing with their operation. And if you start killing those cultists, then they'll summon a demon or something to try to come and take care of what mortals can't. And when you defeat the demon, that reveals who the dark god is. So you went from a cultist, you went from a single corrupt priest to a cult, to now at level 9 to 12, you're dealing with unnatural, like supernatural creatures that are attacking. You resolve that. Now you're in the 13 to 16 range, and it's been revealed that this dark power is the one that's summoning these demons. So then you go take out that dark power, but that dark power was a herald for the true entity of evil that is being manifested by this cult. And so when you get the 17th level, they're now summoning, bringing forth that elder evil, and when it arrives, it has a score to settle with your character. So now you're dealing with a godlike creature that has a hate for you. So that's how you can, like, that's 5 tiers that you can progress through. And the CR ratchets up the supernaturality of it, the threat level, the existential threat of the situation increases. So by layering in and just always knowing, like, what's bigger, what's next, even that dark god could be part of a an unknown pantheon that you took out one of ours. Now we have to take out you because you are a threat to us now. You see how that works? You're always ratcheting up to something bigger and bigger and bigger. You only need 5 layers to get through a 20-level campaign, and you can have 4 levels worth of mystery, infiltration, punching people in the nose, and making these, and making moves and figuring things out, and blah de blah de blah de blah de blah. So you can know who your big bad is, but don't make them your 20. Like, you can be aware of your 20th level threat, but don't necessarily show the players who their 20th level threat is, because again, you don't want them chasing one bad guy for 20 levels, because they're going to want to clear that from their plate. That's why you never show that. Like, if the, like, what do they say? If you give something a stat block, the characters will kill it. Similarly, if you reveal who the big bad is, that's who they're going to be gunning for, because that they know that's what they need to take out. They're going to try to take out that threat as early as possible, because they think, the players think, if you present this threat, it's something I can resolve. They don't think, ooh, this is the big bad, I'll eventually get to 20th level. No, they think, how can I kill this fucker right now? What do I need to do to take this dude out now so I can solve the immediate problem in front of me? So you need to give them more immediate problems in front of them, so they aren't thinking about, how do I kill the big bad? Oops. I did not mean to do that. Let's scratch that out. And then, so since I don't care about their backstory, as these new big bads show up, they have an opportunity to see, now that we're revealing, like, they can chip in. It's like, hey, I think it'd be cool if this was like the Raven Queen was involved, because I want to multi-class into Hexsplit as a paladin, or as a warlock, like, next level. Is there a way for us to work the Raven Queen into this? Or here's an idea I have for a god. Can we work that in? And if they've been respectful of the way that I like to build campaigns, then they'll have been building their character to curve into where the campaign is going. And I don't necessarily care who the next big bad is. I just know somebody's going to come along and fill the power vacuum. And I might know who the final boss is going to be, but I don't care what happens between level 9 and 16. So when the players come with an idea, I can be like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's see what we can do to work that in. So I'm helping them get what they want. But when they start, at this point, they haven't come in, here's a 7-page character background, make that work with your story. Now, fuck off. But after 9 levels of playing in the campaign, and you're like, hey, I think it'd be cool if I had a chance for my character to X, Y, or Z. Maybe X, Y, and Z is actually possible at that point, because they're going to be on the lookout for, how can I make X, Y, Z work? And I'm going to be looking at, how can I just naturally make X, Y, and Z curve into where the campaign is going right now? Or how can I put a spin on X and Y? I can't see Z happening, but I can embellish X a little bit more to make that, come through with blah, 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 blah. So I run campaigns differently from other people. Like, it's the old school of D&D didn't expect you to have a background. Your characters didn't have, maybe they had a personality, maybe you had a catchphrase, but very much in the old school, very, very old school games, the characters were basically just user interfaces for the players to manipulate and interact with things in the game world. They weren't thinking about, what's my motivation? Their motivation was loot the dungeon and try not to die, because we're playing D&D. D&D is dungeon delving. So let's go delve a dungeon and hope we don't get fucking killed. And my character will be like, the difference between my first level fighter and your first level fighter is what type of weapon and armor they wear, and if you choose to give them a name, what that name is. That's the only stats, equipment, and name. Those are literally the only things that are different about one first level fighter from another. Including hit points and shit like that. But there is no customization of your characters in first edition like BECME D&D. There's no customization at all. You're just a first level fighter. Here's the stats that you get, and you'll keep those until you get the second level, and everyone gets the same stats at second level. It wasn't until second edition that they started introducing kits. Kits were a way to make your fighter different. And that's kind of the start of where prestige classes came from. You could be a 20th level fighter, or you could be a 10th level fighter and a 10th level guardian, or devoted defender, or skirmisher, or warlord, or whatever. They started adding in, like in third edition, they had prestige classes. Prestige classes were inspired by kits. So back then, you weren't expected to have any background. It was completely irrelevant. It wasn't until I think Tracy and Hickman started developing Dragonlance that the culture changed to assume that you would run the same characters on an epic quest that ran multiple adventures through a campaign, where your characters were assumed, and they even had safeguards for like what happens if your characters get killed. Well, you can save them, and that's where plot armor began with Tracy Hickman and Margaret Weiss and the Dragonlance adventures. Before then, if your character died, roll a new one. Roll a new one at first fucking level, even though the team is 12th level, because they would run multiple characters. Because in BECME, it would take 1 week per level of character when you gain a level. If I'm 5th level and I get the 6th level, my character now has to train for 6 weeks. So if I want to keep playing that character, either the whole team has to skip 6 weeks while my character trains, or I have multiple characters so I can do something else while this character trains, and when they're done, I can start using them again at 6th level. And back then, characters didn't level at the same rate. A first level, a rogue to get the second level needed 1,200 experience points, while a wizard would need 2,400. A fighter would need like 1,500, and a cleric would need 1,800, and then the different class races, like dwarf would need somewhere around where fighter did, halfling would need somewhere around what the rogue did. So they all would level at different paces alongside each other, and it was your choice whether you gained a level or not, because gold was XP. So instead of gaining a level, you could just buy a bunch of magic shit and gain bonuses that way. Because the difference in BECME, the difference between a first level fighter and a second level fighter versus a first level fighter and a first level fighter with a +1 sword, right? So a fighter with a +1 sword or a second level fighter, the difference is the second level fighter has more hit points and is further towards the 36th level limit that first edition that BECME had. The first level fighter spent their 1,500 XP, or their 1,500, instead of, they got 1,500 gold out of the dungeon. They could either convert that into 1,500 XP and gain a level, or they could spend 1,500 XP to get a masterwork level weapon that's not necessarily magic, but like full plate armor. So now their armor class went up 4 points. So it was a much different, more resource intensive system than narrative and superhero-ish. So the vibe was very different, and that vibe was your character is disposable. You're the thing that's important. Your input, your decision making is what actually matters in this campaign, not who your character is. We don't care who your character is. It's your turn. Do you want to check for traps or something? Like that's how the old school used to be. So you didn't care about backstory. That was wrought upon the community. I mean, the game was evolving as it was, and people had attachment to the characters, and they would build their stories from what they've survived, not build a character and then import it into your story. It's like, we're just going to be delving dungeons. And when we're done delving dungeons, we're going to be exploring the wilderness. And when we're done exploring the wilderness, we're going to build a fortress in the wilderness and start collecting taxes from people in the region. And that's going to incite war. So then we're going to gather an army to fight off the war that's incoming at us as a result of our effectiveness at tithing the region. It's pissing off people. Blah, 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 blah. That's where the campaign goes in Beckme. It's a very, very different vibe from where D&D 5e is now, or the assumptions that the players had about how the campaign would proceed. And stubbornly, I like to maintain the old ways as a DM, and I like to structure my campaigns that way. So it takes away from you're not an important character until you gain enough levels to be important. Right now, you're nobody. I don't care what your backstory is. Build a backstory from the adventures that you make and let that guide the decisions, because I can keep you occupied with plot points and just things happening to the world that need to be resolved. We don't have time for your character's backstory unless you weave it in yourself. And then when you have suggestions about, hey, I see where this is going, I think it'd be cool if X, Y, or Z. If I can make that work, I will. But if your character dies, it's just going to keep evolving anyway. Right now, it's relevant to your character's backstory, and you get to fill in a gap for yourself. But there's no guarantee the next 8 adventures is going to have anything to do with anybody, and you could all die. But if you all die, the campaign continues, because it's about what's happening in the campaign, not what's going on with your characters. You see that change?
No, there's a cult, but they don't know anything about. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can do these cascading layers of hierarchy that you can't see until you defeat the current one, or like you break into their private sanctum and get all the information that you need. Then it's just now they're just pissed off at you, they're coming at you, but you could already be moving on to the next higher rank, and that guy that you like stepped over becomes part of the milieu of who is going to be a problem for you at the next level. I have to explore other D&D editions in order to have more options as a DM. It's just a different philosophy. And it doesn't necessarily spell these things out for people to like WotC didn't come along with 3rd edition and say, hey, we're going to make this less about your campaign and more about your characters now. We're going to add more depth of detail into building your character, so that it becomes annoying to make, like in Beckme, it takes 2 minutes to make a character, and you're done. Let's go, because you would start over at first level. It was super easy to drop a new character in, but that's why you wanted multiple characters running, because they have to take downtime to gain levels. So you're going to have potentially multiple groups running at multiple different levels, while this character's like you want to have a mid-level, a low-level, and a high-level character rolling. So that as your high-level character goes down, hey, can we switch to playing our mid-level characters for a while my character levels up? And if the team is cool with that, then they're all just leveling their other characters, and you're dealing with other things that are going on in effectively the same world. Or you're effectively running 3 separate campaigns at 3 different tiers of play. And while the low-level team is leveling up the high-level, but the high-level team it's all happening in... Like in 1st edition, it was all happening in real time. Like everything was happening at the same time. Everybody's in the same campaign world. So if your 14th level character is leveling up, but there's a thing that you want to do, you could potentially recruit your 7th level characters to start picking around and find things out about this 14th level problem that's going to have to get dealt with when your high level character is finishing gaining a level. You could do scouting or recruiting. Like, we need an army, so let's send out our lower level characters to start recruiting an army. And that's going to lead to having to do favors and solving problems. So you're going to have plenty of adventures to deal with while you're, like, if I do this, we're going to ask for you to give us, like, conscribe, like, 70 soldiers to be in our army. So you can go around and you can gather adventures that way. So if you have this rotating cast of characters that your team is working with, you can have multiple threats at different levels. And that's what we have going on in our current campaign. We have fighter pilots that pilot mecha, that fight kaiju and pirates. We have dungeon delvers that are specialists in clearing kyber out of asteroids. They have a diplomacy team. So when they want to do when they want to like negotiate different asteroid mining rights and stuff like that, they will literally have negotiation characters that then go in and do different social challenges to compete against other guilds that are trying to get access to a resource for blah blah blah. So they have multiple teams, and they what I will do is like, here's all the threats that are on the table currently that you could deal with. Which threat do you want to deal with? And they'll choose. Well, we haven't done any dungeon delving in a couple episodes. Let's go do a dungeon delve. There's a gold, we know there's pirates that are pushing near our electrum mine. We know there's an eruption of Kyber in our platinum mine. And elf dignitaries are asking us to help fight off Dargoon. Like, those are 3 different plot lines. Like, those are 3 different adventures that are available right now for the players. And they can go on one of those missions. And the other 2 will resolve for them using the Bastion mechanics that we've been developing for NPCs resolving adventure plot hooks that the players aren't interested in, but still forwarding the lore of the world. So they're like, we're going to go dungeon delve. We're going to protect our platinum mine from Kyber. So we're going to offload fighting the pirates to our NPC hirelings that are fighter pilots. So they're going to go skirmish with pirates. We're also going to give the elves a battalion of our mech warriors so they can go help fight greenskins. And I think there was one more conflict, but whatever. So like these are like the choices that they make. You can choose one of these 3 things. Which one do you guys want to prioritize? And they might be like, yeah, we don't want to do any of that. We want to go steal that artifact from Dargoon. We aren't interested, or from Droam. We aren't interested in any of this stuff. We're going to go do our own thing. It's like, great. Tell me what it is that you want to do, and I will prep. I will start prepping for that. We'll get into that starting next week. So that's how my campaigns roll. So they're but they're episodic by nature, and they move forward in bastion turns. A bastion turn is a week, so like you have a week to do whatever you want. Here's things that are on the table. If they aren't dealt with, they will escalate, and you might eventually have to get to them. But in the meantime, if you just want your NPCs to poke at it, maybe you'll do well in your checks. And oops, I've plumb done this wrong again. I want to cut this out. Drop that back in. Let's go back down to here. This is where that's supposed to be. Merge down here. There. So it's just a different style of play, but that's my preferred style. That's how I like to run campaigns. And luckily I have a team that's into it. They trust that the adventures, that the challenges and the mysteries that I present will be interesting and is going to end up leading to something, because everything leads to something. They know that it's up to them to decide what they want to engage with, because anything that the players push intensifies. If we want to fight cultists, then there's going to be a lot more cult shit going on, because that's what your team is leaning into. So they get to call the shots on what sort of stuff that they're going to deal with. So like if they've got like this pirate background thing going with their dad, then they're going to want to they're going to want to directly involve themselves with pirates, because they've got this this pirate dad thing going on as a backstory. I want to lean into that. It's like, okay, great. Well, that tells me that we should probably do something that leads to their dad amongst the Lazar pirates. So your dad's involved with the Lazar pirates because we play in Eberron. So like if your player chose to be the acolyte of this otherworldly patron as a warlock, then yeah, having that you've already built it, so that's the big bad. But maybe that big bad is the servant of a bigger bad. So the reason why your player that's the warlock that betrayed their patron 1,000 years ago, maybe they had to see what they think about, like, why would I have done that? If you don't know why they betrayed them, start finding out why is that, because that could give you access to what sort of a big bad do you want to have manifest, like around 13th level, that would be a rival to the patron that your characters were involved with. I don't know the structure of your campaign currently, but that's like just like an off the cuff, like way that I would approach that idea. And like, if you have a cleric, what god do you want to worship as a cleric? Cool. Let's start building the campaign around conflicts between that god and that god's rivals. So that becomes a baked-in problem that the players are automatically going to be invested with. You're into Selûne, great. Then Shar is going to be your greatest rival because Shar and Selûne hate each other. Like that's pre-baked into the Forgotten Realms campaign setting. So that's easy. Choose a god, find their rival. That player is going to have things to punch forever. And they have the resources of a god, so things can easily escalate towards that god. The same thing with Warlocks. Warlocks can have rival patrons that hate each other. The Raven Queen and like what was it? I think it was Diana of the Rose was talking about their take on the Raven Queen, where they end the chapter of stories that are wished into existence in the Feywild. So the Feywild hate the Raven Queen because she ends things, including other Fey that are otherwise eternal. She ends stories. She's the one that says the end. And so when she comes around, Fey are scared that she's going to end something that they've fallen in love with. So they have all these rivals that are trying to thwart the Raven Queen from ending stories. So if that's your character's patron, you're now going to have a bunch of Fey, because you're going to now bend into like Fey and Fable and legendary like epic heroes or epic villains as threats in your campaign, because you would be actively sent on quests to end these different these different these different stories. Does that make any sense? Hopefully that makes sense. But it's all about curving the campaign around what like making the characters independent from what you're doing in your main story, and then allowing the character's identity to emerge from that story, and then they can start interjecting in like as they've proven their buy-in on the story and their commitment to be involved, then you can start looking at making elements of your story work with what they as players are interested in. But if you do your campaign right, your players are going to be like, I don't fucking care. I like where we're going with this. Do what you want. But some might be like, yeah. I'm really into this dad thing with the pirates. I want to make that a thing. But it's just because they like pirates. So they made a story. It's like, yeah, I want to have a backstory that bends us into more pirate shit. So we have a reason to get involved with not just killing pirates, but like maybe becoming pirate kings ourselves somehow. Maybe that player's dad has lineage to like the fifth Prince of Lazar. They are in step to gaining that title as Prince of the fifth Prince of Lazar. So maybe you angle yourself so that you help your dad take that throne, and now you're dealing with pirate politics and pirate scrimmages. It's pirate versus pirate action and all the privateers that are trying to take out the pirates. There's a huge array of stuff that you can do in a pirate campaign just like that. That'll take you through like each chapter. Like you're the third Pirates of Lazar. You have to defeat the second and the first Pirates of Lazar to become the top pirate. So the first pirate of Lazar can dictate what happens to the other seven ranks of pirates. So it's like a totem pole, and the seventh pirate of Lazar is the lowest rank. But these lower ranks, kind of like with Dro, they're all competing against each other to gain rank. So pirate culture, you can develop that if the players take an interest in it. But you get the players' buy-in on what your campaign is going to be about before you start. So it's like, we want to do a pirate campaign. It's like, Pirates of Lazar, let's go. And then you decide how far down the rank do you want to be. You don't want to be top rank because that's too easy. You probably don't want to be second rank because that's too obvious. So anywhere from like third, fourth, fifth house is high enough in status that you have access to resources, but far enough down the road that you can have grudges against people above you. So that seeds a healthy, vibrant campaign. I've got about 10 minutes left in today's session because I showed up late. So I'm hoping to get the rest of this done. But hopefully some of these ideas are making sense. That's literally how I structure my campaigns. And that method, like, yeah, we're part of the third Pirates of Lazar, and we're trying to increase our rank. Anyone that's a pirate in the third house of Lazar, any of those pirates are going to have that same fucking goal. So your characters could all TPK right now, But it's like, cool, that team died. Let's roll up new pirates and keep attacking this thing. Because we as players know what's going on, and our characters weren't that important. It's we want to improve the asteroid mining belt operation. We want to improve our standing in the Pirates of Lazar. These are goals that are bigger than the characters. So the campaign can survive with different characters or different players altogether. So that way you're not locked in place, but your narrative has to be broad enough that anyone can participate in this. So as characters die and get replaced, you can bring these other elements in without disrupting the campaign. I'm kind of rambling here, but that's what I do. Hopefully that looks really in good proportion. I'm very, very happy with that. So we can go ahead and stitch up the ghoul. Oh, son of a bitch. I didn't mean to bond these together like that. That was dumb. Where is that? Fuck. All right. So apparently I bonded this color here to the hand. That's going to be okay. We'll figure it out. Here. Yeah, we want to overlay that. It doesn't really matter. In the end, it's just going to be one illustration. No, what are you talking about? You're bad. What else am I gonna do? I'm painting, dude. I love doing this. I love these conversations. I love DMing. This is the shit that I live for. You are helping fulfill my purpose. You're asking questions that I have opinions about. Let me talk. You're doing great, my man. You are never a problem to me. You just keep doing you, man. You're doing great. I'm glad you're here. You're helping me not just sit here and drool while I paint. You know, how fucking boring would that be? At least now, I mean, I advertise this thing as D&D art, so we got people that like art, and we got people with like D&D coming through. You're helping fulfill my purpose of this channel, man. I appreciate it. I really, honestly, I appreciate it. I've talked about these things before. I will talk about them again. And eventually, I'll structure this shit into like an honest, like into a structured conversation, and post it as a separate video that can be referenced in the future. These live streams are kind of hard to pick out. Right now, if somebody comes up with something, oh yeah, check out this stream, I start talking about that at like minute 45. And, you know, go to minute 45 of this linked video, and yeah, sure enough, I'm talking about it, but it's certainly not organized. It's just, it's just ramble feed. So you're doing great, man. Never apologize for that. I love that you're asking questions. I don't always have an answer. I might not or I might not want to answer the question. And if that's the case, hey, I don't want to talk about that right now. I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk about something different. XYZ, baby. But yeah, you're doing great, man. I appreciate it. I love it. I love that the answers that I provide make sense and inspire you to explore different ways of approaching your narrative. And I've had so many, I've been doing this for 40 years. There are stumbling blocks that you can't find until you stumble into them. You're going to have to learn those lessons, but I can at least help people understand, hey, these are problems that will arise. Keep an eye out for them. If you know there's a stumbling block, you can start taking steps towards not getting caught in it. But you're going to get caught in some of them. That's what learning is. Like you haven't really learned how to play chess until you've fallen for the Queen's Gambit, or not Queen's Gambit. That's the opening. The Scholar's Mate, where they use the Queen and the Bishop together to kill your king like in 4 moves. Like you can't really be a great chess master until you've taken that loss. You don't become great until you've been beaten. You have to get beaten so you can rise, so that you can know how to overcome being beaten. These are rites of passage that you have to ascend through to understand these things, so that you can become like for example the Scholar's Mate. You can do that in the first 4 moves of chess, but you can literally do that any time in chess where the king doesn't have anywhere to go and you've got 2 pieces that pincer it. Like, you can execute the Scholar's Mate and technically anywhere during the course of a chess game. It's just really humiliating when it happens in the first 4 moves and you didn't see it coming. Because you didn't see it coming, because you hadn't experienced it before. It's not your fault, but you've lost this round. So now if you want to keep playing, you won't have to fall for that in the future. You see? It's important. So if you DM long enough, you're going to run into similar circumstances where you're getting thwarted by, I don't understand how to make this work. And that's literally where we're at right now. And you're coming at this from, this is a problem that I'm having because I haven't had enough experience to know how I can fix it and it works. Like, the ideas that I present worked for me. These were solutions that I came up with that my team was willing to digest and work with. So it solved my problems of having, I can now run campaigns from level 1 to 20, and my attrition rate is incredibly low. If I start off with 5 players, I can pretty much guarantee that 3 of them are going to stay for the entire 20 levels, and we're probably going to lose somebody between level 4 and 9. We're probably going to lose somebody else between level 8 and 16. And by 8 and 16, by the time we get to 16th level, it's too late. Whoever you lose, you're going to lose. Because anyone that's coming in after 200 hours of a campaign is only going to feel like an outsider. So once you get, you have to have enough momentum to be able to have the campaign carry through for the people that promised and stuck to sticking through with you. So you have to perform and execute for the people that show up so that you can prove that you are a trustworthy source of entertainment. So if they commit their time to you, you will show up and do. Like, you will execute. And once you have that relationship built in, those players will do whatever the fuck you want. Like, we don't care what kind of, we're just going to build, okay, we're just going to run any kind of campaign you want. What do you want to do? And that's where my players have been. They're like, yeah, we trust you. What do you want to run? And then that's when okay, great. This is an idea that I have for a campaign. And I put it out and they're like, yeah, that sounds like fun. Cool. How do you think your characters will engage with that? And then that's their session 0. That's their first mission, is to figure out why the fuck did they think that, like, how do they see themselves engaging with that content? Cool. Let's build a structure so that we can continue with that goal for the next 5 levels, even if your characters die. At the end of those 5 levels, whatever characters are still involved, hey, this is what we've been doing. Are you still jiving with that? It's like, yeah, we love this. Okay, cool. Well, let's ratchet it up a little bit. Or do you want to change? What do you want to change? Yeah, we're kind of sick of this pirate. This pirate stuff is kind of winding down on us. It's kind of sunsetting. And if they're smart, they'll tell me about this in advance. Hey, we're getting kind of tired of fucking around with pirates. It's like, okay, well, great. So let's make the next set of pirates that you fight be involved with a cult, so we get a supernatural demon element going. They're like, ooh, cool. And now when one of their next characters die, they build demon hunters instead of pirate fighters. You know, they can adapt their current characters with their levels to deal with the threat, or if they die, they can build a completely new character that fits where the campaign has gone to, because that's what the team decided to lean into. All these things are good, but you have to know, like, that style works for me, but only because that was my survival mechanism. This is how I learned to survive losing players, not having my plot disarmed, and how to retain how to increase player retention. All this stuff that I'm talking about does all 3 of those things. But that's been my solution. It's not the solution. It's just mine. So, having said all that, I think this is done. I'm going to go ahead and call this. I'm going to call this dude done. And so I'm going to hit save. I've ran out of time. Let's go to our list of things left to do. And so I'm going to go ahead and scratch this. Yeah, I think at this point I'm just whinging on this. Maybe I could add some patches of Lotharia laying around or something, but I'm pretty happy with that. I'll probably put some Lotharia over here, but I can do that on my own time. I think this piece is done. So let's go down and find where are we at? There we were. Page 77. We are down to page 101 and page 28. That's all we have left. So let's flip a coin and see which page we're going to do next. Let's open that page up, and then we'll end our session. I rolled 28. So let's go open up page 28, see what that is.
Here we go. Oh, okay. This is so this pocket is too big. If it was if this pocket was only like, say the text came down to here, I wouldn't have to do anything with this space. That's a small enough space to ignore. This is just a large enough space that I have to worry about it. So I don't know what we're gonna do, but when we come back tomorrow, we're gonna start filling. It'll probably just be texture, like some sort of ground grit or something. But when we come back, we're gonna fill this space. And after this, we'll only have one illustration left on page 101. And then we're going to be done with all of our artwork. And then it's just a matter of me sealing it all together into a book and publishing it. I'm still working on the back end of packaging and integrating and doing hyperlinks. So we're going to finish these last two illustrations. And then I'll probably have another week of production time off screen of me packaging the adventure and getting it ready to go for publication. When we hit that point, when I'm done with the artwork for Eberron, I'm going to start doing Bob Ross paintings. I'll just do some landscape paintings for a while just to show you guys how I do that stuff for fun. For funsies. And but that's it for now. I got to go. And I would... Hey, Fox. How you doing, my man? You would hang out with that ghoul? Or that ghast? Nice, man. Hey, thanks for showing up, Foxy. Fernando, seriously, man, I really appreciate all the questions, dude. I love it. I love it. This is what I do. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks a lot. And I'm out. Cheers.